Russia's war on Ukraine is now at a crucial turning point. Ukraine's rapid and blistering counteroffensive in the south and east has reportedly taken back more than 6,000 square kilometers of land, pushing Russian soldiers back to retreat and pushing Putin to act, who then announced a referendum and then the annexation of 4 Russian-controlled regions, making up 15% of Ukrainian territory. As Ukrainian forces continue to push through Russian lines, Putin warned that he will use all available means to defend these annexed regions, hinting at the use of nuclear weapons. Threats of the use of nuclear weapons is causing alarm, especially to nearby European countries. So I spoke with EU's ambassador to Indonesia, Vincent Piket, to gauge just how serious this threat was.
Mr. Ambassador, thank you so much for talking to Metro TV today.
Thank you for your interest.
Right, so as I mentioned, we have seen many major developments in the Russia-Ukraine war in recent days, not just weeks, including President Vladimir Putin's announcement of what he says is the annexation of 4 regions in Ukraine. Now, is this legal, and could you explain why the West has denounced it, and specifically in terms of its legality, Mr. Ambassador?
Well, thank you. Well, this is an action which is totally against the UN Charter, against the fundamental principles that are adopted in the UN framework of the integrity of the borders of sovereign states. There is no legal basis for this whatsoever, and the only conclusion is that this violates with the UN Charter that all members of the UN must uphold, including Russia, and especially so because Russia is a permanent member of the UN Security Council. So the reason why we have denounced this is very much because of that reason. And let me say that we are not alone as the West, but this is a global condemnation of this act, which will be we will be taking to the UN General Assembly shortly.
Right, but of course we're living in very dangerous times at the moment, Mr. Ambassador. President Putin has warned that he will defend these regions that he says he annexed by all available means. That is his quote, hinting the use of nuclear weapons. Now, Ukraine has been continuing to press on, but does the EU believe or fear that Russia might resort to nuclear weapons?
Well, you're right. President Putin has said Russia will use all resources at its disposal to take these territories. The answer is very much that we oppose this. We feel that this is a major escalation in the war, coming on top of the annexation decision of by the Russian president. This is something that we oppose. Ukraine will fight this, evidently. For them, this is a matter of their statehood, of their independence, of their capacity to live their lives in their own country. And we will support Ukraine in that effort. So how will this go? It's hard to predict. I'm not venturing into that.
Yep.
This is a very dangerous moment. That's the only thing I would say.
Right, but of course, as you mentioned as well, Putin has said he will use all available means. Do you see this nuclear threat by President Vladimir Putin changing anything in terms of the conflict, in terms of Ukraine taking back those regions?
I don't think so. I think Ukraine will continue to be determined to retake the land that was illegally occupied by Russia and by the cronies that Russia had put in place of the 4 regions concerned. So the Ukrainian determination is strong, and we see that also in the developments of on the battlefield these past days. So it doesn't change anything to that. What it does change, of course, is an escalation of the overall conflict that Russia is pursuing here. And that is very worrying, and we have to take this seriously. President Putin has twice repeated this veiled threat of the use of nuclear weapons. He himself has said that he is not bluffing. So we must take this very seriously, and that's extremely worrying.
How will the EU respond, though, if, God forbid, if nuclear weapons were to be used by Russia?
Well, it's a speculative question, and I'm not going in that direction. Let me say this: that of course, for us as Europeans, it's unthinkable that something like this would be done by Russia. Really unthinkable, and I think that the world will say the same. That this is in the 21st century. Something that we cannot possibly accept, cannot condone, and something that would change the world order completely, would damage the way we all live, whether we're in Europe, in Africa or in Asia.
Mr. Ambassador, I want to go back to the annexation, President Putin's announcement of those annexation of 4 regions in Ukraine. Now, previously, the West has been criticized for its response to the annexation of Crimea back in 2014. How will the EU and Western allies step up its response this time, and will be different from the Crimea response?
Well, I understand what you're saying, and understand also the criticism that has come to us. Back in 2014, of course, the world looked different, and we thought that with that a diplomatic track for resolving the issues relating to the eastern part of Ukraine could still work, and there was a diplomatic initiative developed for that. Now, our hope that the diplomatic track would lead to a result didn't work out, and we were proven wrong. Simply by the fact, shown by the fact that Russia invaded all these other regions of Ukraine as well. This makes our determination now stronger, that this is something we cannot possibly accept. This gradual annexation of land that isn't yours.
So does this mean maybe cutting off more ties with Russia, for example, energy ties with Russia?
Indeed, before the war last year, 40% of our gas imports came from Russia. Now that was an unhealthy situation, clearly. Our decision is firm that we must cut our dependence on Russian gas, and that's what we're doing. Right now, the latest figure is that from 40% Russian share of our gas supply, we're down to 9%, and it will go down to 0 over in the near future. So that is a policy choice that is that we have taken, and we're realizing it.